Parliamentary procedure provides the process for proposing, amending, approving, and defeating of legislative motions. Although following parliamentary procedure is not required, it can make council meetings more efficient and reduces the chances of council actions being declared illegal or challenged for procedural deficiencies. A city may adopt the ordinance or by ordinance or resolution its own set of rules governing the conduct of council meetings, or it may adopt by reference formalized rules such as Robert's Rule of Order, which will be the point or the core of our report for today.
Now let's have the basic rules. The first one is only one subject may be before a group at one time. Each item is to be considered is proposed as a motion, which usually requires a second before being put into a vote. Once a motion is made and seconded, the chair places the question before the council by restating the motion. Now let's have the second rule. Negative motions are generally not permitted. To dispose of a business item, the motion should be phrased as a positive action to take, and then if the group desires not to take this action, the motion should be voted down. The exception to this rule when a governing body is asked to take action on a request and wishes to create a record as to why the denial is justified. Now let's have the third rule. All members have equal rights. Each speaker must be recognized by the moderator prior to speaking. Each speaker should make clear of his or her intent by stating, "I wish to speak for or against the motion," prior to stating arguments.
Next is each item presented for consideration is entitled to a full and free debate. So each person speak once until everyone else has or had an opportunity to speak. The last basic rules is the right of the minority must be protected, but the will of the majority must prevail. Persons who do not share the same point of view of the majority have the right to have their ideas presented for consideration. But ultimately, the majority will determine what the council will or will not do, and also use parliamentary procedure as a tool, but not as a bludgeon.
Motions. Business is brought before the council by motions, a formal procedure for taking actions. To make a motion, a council member must first be recognized by the mayor. After the council member has made a motion, and after the motion is seconded if required, the chair must then restate it or rule it out of order, then call for the discussion. Most motions require a second, although there are a few exceptions. Also, a motion is a formal proposal by a member of deliberative assembly that the assembly take certain actions. Exact wording of motions and amendments is important for clarity and recording in the minutes. If it's if it's a complex motion, the motion should be written down for the chair to read. Robert's Rule of Order provides four general types of motions: main motions, subsidiary motions, incidental motions, and renewal motions that would be explained by the other members.
There are classes of motions. The most important is the main motions, which is bring before the council for its action any particular subject. Main motions cannot be made when any other motions are before the group. So the purpose of this motion is to introduce items to the membership for consideration. The chairs should not allow discussion of any item until a motion has been brought. Once a motion has been made and seconded, it is no longer belongs to the person who made the motion. It belongs to the entire body. The body can discuss it, amend it, or vote it up or down.
Aside from the main motion, we also have subsidiary motions, which are motions that alter how the main motion is handled. These motions include tabling, which is used to postpone until the group decides by majority vote to resume discussion. This also adopts the concept of lay on the table, wherein a majority has the power to halt consideration of the question immediately, and it requires a second, non-debatable, and non-amendable vote. Next is the previous question or closed debate. It is used to bring the body to an immediate vote, and it closes debate and stops further amendments. The formal motion is to call for the question or call for the previous question, or simply I move to close debate, and it requires 2/3 majority. Next is limit or extend debate. This is more on the desires of the group to impose a time limitation that will be spent on a topic. Another subsidiary motion is postponed to a definite time. This motion is similar to tabling, except that the motion directs that the matter will be taken up again at some specific date and time. And next is referred to committee motion, which directs that some other body will study the matter and report back.
Okay, next we also have amendment in subsidiary motions. It is used to fine-tune a motion to make it more acceptable to the group. The amendment must be related to the main motion's intent that was mentioned earlier, and cannot be phrased in a way that would defeat the main motion. Two amendments may be on the floor at one time. The first amendment modifies the main motion, and the second amendment must relate to the first. It is voted on in the reverse order in which they were made, as each amendment changes to some degree the intent of the main motion. Also, as each amendment is voted on, an additional primary or secondary amendment may be introduced. It requires a second debatable majority vote. Lastly, the postpone indefinitely is also included in subsidiary motion. This motion effectively kills a motion because, if adopted, a 2/3 vote is subsequently required to take the matter up again.
Now let us proceed to incidental motion. It is a motion that deals with question of procedure and arise out of another pending of motion or item of business. With the exemption of the motion to appeal of the ruling of the chair, they are not relatable. First one is the point of information. It requires the fact affecting the business at hand and is directed to the chair. Letter B is the parliamentary inquiry. It requires the chair's opinion that a ruling of a matter of a parliamentary procedure. Letter C, division of the assembly calls for a verification when a member doubts the accuracy of a voice vote or show hand. Letter D, division of a question. It permits a motion to be divided into two or more parts. E, withdraw a motion. Permits a member to remove his or her question from consideration even after the motion is restated by the chair. Letter F, objection to consideration. Suppresses business that is undesirable that might prove damaging to the organization. Letter G, suspend the rule. Temporarily sets aside the rule to permit the assembly to take an action it could not otherwise take. H, appeal from the ruling of the chair. Challenges a ruling of the chair. Letter I, the point of order. Challenges an error in procedure and requires a ruling by the chair. And that would be all. Thank you.
Let us move on to renewal motions. Once the group has taken action, renewal motions require the group to further discuss or dispose of a motion. The motions include reconsider, turn of the table, and resend. Reconsider is when the group needs to discuss further a motion that has already been defeated at the same meeting. A majority of the council must approve taking additional time to debate the motion again. Take from the table. Unless the original motion to table directed that the motion be brought back at a specific date and time, a majority of group must pass a motion to take from the table. Such a motion is non-debatable. And lastly, we have rescind. When the group wishes to annul some action, a motion to rescind is in order at any time. If prior notice has been given to the group that this action will be considered, the motion to rescind can pass with a simple majority vote. However, if no prior notice has been given, the vote requires a two-thirds majority.
Moving on to the questions of privilege. First, we have fix the time for the next meeting. This is in order at any time, including when a motion to adjourn is pending. Adjourn. This is to bring the meeting to a hold. Recess. A temporary break in the meeting. Points of privilege. A matter that concerns the welfare of the group. And lastly, we have call for the orders of the day. This is a demand that the group return to the agenda.